Hey, what up, everybody? Stevie Breach coming to you. In this video, I'm just going to be talking about why Christian was the transitional champion that he is. Yes, there could be something more to this than just the easy answer that they wanted to put the belt on Orton that I was expecting the whole time. You never know. Even Jericho shed light on it. Like, everybody's getting all pissed off and everybody's hating on Orton and WWE sending him all the bad tweets and everything like that, threatening they're never going to watch wrestling again. Basically, if you're mad enough to get fired up about wrestling, you're not gonna stop watching wrestling. If you're able to send a tweet, post something on Facebook, something on Twitter about how mad you are, basically you're mad for a reason because you love wrestling. You're not getting what you want, but that doesn't mean you're gonna stop watching. Basically, in 2002, when Scott Steiner and Triple H pissed me off to no end, I just turned the TV off and I walked away. I didn't tell anybody, didn't talk about it. That was it. I was done. Yeah, yeah. Some people out there will do that, but I don't think many. I think that everybody, for the most part, saw what direction they were going, and the reason why I think that Christian was the transitional champion that he was is just the easy answer. They didn't know that they were going to do. They had Edge, retire at the drop of a dime. Basically, the test came back that his neck was bad, and he just saw his life flash in front of his eyes that he was going to be in a wheelchair if he just messed up in the ring one time. And not be able to live a normal, regular life, and he walked away. I mean, anybody, would have to make a hard decision there, but I honestly think Edge made the right one. I mean, if somebody told me I couldn't do my job, or I was gonna, something bad was gonna happen to me, I'd rather spend my life with my kids and my family, normal than not normal, And luckily, Edge has good things coming his way. They just said he signed on to do a guest spot on a TV show, so he'll be all right. But basically, plans were already set in place for Del Rio to go to Raw. I mean, for a couple of weeks now, maybe even longer than that, we've known that they were planning to go with Cena versus Del Rio for the SummerSlam main event at Raw. Everybody knows that Del Rio is getting this really big heel push. For some reason, they're just keeping him off the title, and the reason why I believe they're keeping him off the title, the reason why Orton was picked, or I apologize, the reason why Christian was picked, to be the transitional champion, to pass it over to him, was just to be that when I think of Alberto Del Rio, I think of Ric Flair. When Ric Flair came over from WCW to WWE, or WWF at the time. I'm so getting used to saying WWE. That really scares me because I always said I would always say WWF for the rest of my life. But I think of Ric Flair. I think they're very comparable. I think that from what I've learned from talking to Miguel, who knows a lot about Mexican wrestling down in Mexico, Alberto Del Rio or Sin Cara was hand in hand number one, number two guys in Mexico, and when they brought him in, it was a big deal to Mexico. Now that they have both these real big stars, it's more of a drawing power more than Rey Mysterio, who Rey Mysterio is Mexican, but he was born in the United States. So I mean, they have a real they have two real stars. I mean, and they have enough star power to send down to Raw that they're not even sending Mysterio this time. They're sending Mysterio to go hang out with the SmackDown guys while they test out to see what Del Rio and Sin Cara can do. But I think of Ric Flair. Like when Ric Flair came into the WWE, they called him the Real World Champion. They didn't ever say WCW, but any kind of wrestling fan from 1991 knew who Ric Flair was. Knew that when he brought on the World Heavyweight Championship, he called himself the Real World's Champion. They know where he'd been. Even if you weren't the biggest WCW fan at that time, WCW was hard to watch for a West Coast fan. As myself, especially a young guy, I had to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, basically to watch the early show. I would watch that before I watched some Saturday morning cartoons, and that was honestly great wrestling. It was jobber matches, but at the time WWF was offering jobber matches for their Saturday morning TV as well. But you got to see Ric Flair wrestle jobbers. At the time, you never saw Hulk Hogan unless you bought the pay-per-views. He'd come out and do interviews, but he'd never wrestle matches. And even as a kid, I was able to see how great Ric Flair was. Even wrestling a nobody, or if they gave us a semi-main event where he was wrestling, some guy who's just above being a jobber. But when they want to put the title on Del Rio, they want it to be monumental. That's why I really thought they were going to do it at WrestleMania. And by them passing it at WrestleMania, I sort of didn't really think that they were going to put the belt on in Extreme Rules. You could see that they were already setting up for the ladder match that was going to be Edge against Alberto Del Rio. But I was really thinking that Edge was really going to hold on to there. I didn't think that it was going to be that Del Rio was going to move to Raw. I didn't see that in the future. I thought that they weren't going to give him the title in his first big push up to the main event. But I thought that they were going to make him pay his dues a little bit more. But I thought they were going to keep him up there as a top main event heel that could wrestle for that anytime they wanted to. I was feeling that they were going to wait till one of the major pay-per-views, such as SummerSlam, or maybe wait till next year's WrestleMania, maybe have a match with him and Mysterio. But I feel like they want Alberto Del Rio's first title reign to really mean something. Like when Flair won that title, he picked it up at the Royal Rumble. We didn't get that dream match that everybody thought we were going to have between Flair and Hogan. Just stars didn't align. Nobody, could agree who was going to go over, who was going to make each other look good. So there was also that, Sid Justice contract that Vince signed, telling Sid that he was going to wrestle in the main event at WrestleMania already. So, a promise is a promise, and they couldn't break it. So they had to go with Hogan and Justice, and then they had Savage and Christian. But all in all, I've heard this match is a great match. I guess now I'm going to have to put spoiler at the top, since I've already been talking about Christian losing the title to the thing for a day, because I would hate somebody to hear it from me. But at least, you can say that Christian was a world champ. Maybe he can get a heel turn out of this. Maybe he can become a top heel. You can see that the heels are thin on SmackDown right now, when people are saying that a guy like Mark Henry should be getting the world heavyweight push right now, that he should be the main guy. Anytime you flash up a guy like Mark Henry, who was a semi jobber on Raw, you can say, I can't really remember the last time he won a match, besides when he was in the pairing of either an Apple, or he was in the pairing with Evan Bourne, or the pairing with MVP. This is a guy that just bounced around from tag team to tag team, never really had a place on the card, never, back in the day, he was a mid-card jobber when he was Sexual Chocolate, you can say, when he was, hanging out with the Nation of Domination, but that was a long time ago, and I just don't see a future for Mark Henry. The faster they release him, the faster they release him. And that's not bringing in how big of a douchebag I really think the guy is. But honestly, I think for Christian fans out there, you guys have been taking it hard this week. At least you're able to say your guy was world champion. And there's a lot of guys out there. I think that it's very debatable who you say that the top guy who's not in the Hall of Fame right now. But I would think that the top guy not in the Hall of Fame would have to be Randy Savage. And Randy Savage is the guy that I believe has had 2 or 3 one-day title reigns. Of course, that was more due to politics than anything else. With Hulk Hogan and WCW, Hulk Hogan would always, take the belt from Macho Man, whether it was some jealousy or, promises that he would later break to Macho Man, which led to, them not having a friendship or any kind of relationship anymore right now. But all in all, at least Christian got to hold the belt one time. And maybe, something is going to build from this. But anytime that you can say your guy's a former champion, you're on top. And shit. Hey, one guy put in the comments that I'd be really pissed if it was Jack Swagger. Honestly, if Swagger got a 5-minute run on Raw as the champion and then he lost it, you'd see me on cloud 9, man. I would love every second of it, and wouldn't want to wait until his 3rd title run. So I would welcome it. I'd welcome any time Swagger be at the main event. So no hate for me. But this is Stevie Breach. Thank you very much.